Mr. Johnson, a confused white man, arrived in the busy Nigerian village looking like he was going on some big adventure. He carried all sorts of gadgets, GPS, binoculars, and a huge can of mosquito spray. His hat was so big, it looked like it could cover a whole house. He moved around with so much confidence, but the villagers couldn't help but laugh. Say this Oyibo with him big things. One man whispered, shaking his head. The children followed him, giggling as they watched him point his gadgets at everything, even a goat passing by. He thinks say na Indiana Jones he be. Another person joked, and everyone burst into laughter. Mr. Johnson didn't seem to notice the crowd laughing, smiling and waving at them like he was a celebrity. As he walked around, trying to figure out where he was with all his gadgets, he kept stumbling over stones, bumping into trees, and almost knocked down a pile of yams. The laughter grew louder, but the villagers were kind. They welcomed him, but they knew this Oyibo was in for a big surprise. The real challenge wasn't finding minerals, but the mosquitoes, who were waiting to feast on him. And no amount of gadgets was going to save him from what was coming next. Mr. Johnson, feeling overly confident with his fancy gadgets, completely ignored the warnings from the villagers about mosquitoes. With his thick accent, he proudly declared, "These small insects can't harm me. I brought the best repellents from London." He waved his spray around like it was some magic shield, thinking he was invincible. But the mosquitoes didn't care. To them, Mr. Johnson was a feast waiting to happen. Within minutes, they swarmed him like they'd hit the jackpot. It was as if someone announced free food at a party. The poor man didn't know what hit him. They bit his arms, legs, even his neck. Mr. Johnson, still pretending everything was fine, started swatting at them weakly, muttering to himself, the beauty of nature. The villagers, watching from a distance, couldn't hold their laughter. "This Oyibo no go here word," one of them said, shaking his head. After a few days of battling the mosquitoes, reality finally caught up with him. Mr. Johnson began sweating buckets, shivering like a cold breeze hit him in the middle of Harmattan. His skin turned so pale, the villagers started nudging each other. Malaria don't catch the Oyibo," one of them whispered, and soon enough, the whole village knew Mr. Johnson was in trouble. Staggering over to his guide, Emeka, Mr. Johnson clutched his stomach, his face twisted in pain. "I'm dying," he wailed dramatically, looking like he was about to faint. "Take me to the nearest hospital, quick." But Emeka, who had seen this kind of drama before, just chuckled. "Relax, Mr. Johnson," he said, barely able to hide his amusement. "Na small thing. You go there all right." He patted Mr. Johnson on the back, but deep down, Emeka knew the Oyibo man was in for a whole new kind of experience. The villagers watched with knowing smiles, already betting on how long before Mr. Johnson would realize what real malaria felt like. Now in full panic mode, Mr. Johnson pleads, "Please, Emeka, where is the closest hospital? Get me real malaria medication. I need proper treatment." Emeka, barely containing his amusement, reaches into his bag and pulls out an old, battered bottle filled with a dark, murky liquid. "No need for hospital," he says with a grin. "This is Agbo. It go cure you sharp. Mr. Johnson recoils, staring at the bottle like it's a bomb about to go off. "What on earth is this?" He holds the bottle at arm's length, inspecting it like it's a science experiment gone wrong. "Is it FDA approved? What are the side effects? What's the expiration date?" Emeka, now fully enjoying the show, looks up to the sky as if praying for patience. "Agbo no dey expire, my friend. Just drink." Mr. Johnson hesitates, his face a mix of fear and confusion, but with the villagers watching and no other options, he knows this is going to be an unforgettable experience. By now, a crowd had gathered, all eager to see how the Oyibo would handle the Agbo. Some villagers were even making small bets on whether Mr. Johnson would vomit, pass out, or run away screaming. With his hands shaking, Mr. Johnson took the tiniest sip of the dark liquid. His face twisted like he'd just swallowed something rotten. The villagers burst into laughter, slapping their knees. Oyibo, you today we drink them well." Emeka, trying to keep a straight face, patted Mr. Johnson on the back. "Don't worry. This one go make you strong like lion. No more malaria for you." Not wanting to look weak, Mr. Johnson braced himself and took a bigger gulp. Big mistake. He started choking, coughing, and gasping for air. The villagers couldn't hold it in anymore. Ah, see as Oyibo they behave like small picking. One elder shouted, sending everyone into more laughter. Mr. Johnson, now red-faced and struggling to catch his breath, realized he was in over his head. But with the whole village watching, there was no turning back. Mr. Johnson, still coughing and struggling to breathe, looks at Emeka with pleading eyes. Isn't there something more familiar? Like from a pharmacy or something? Emeka, shaking his head and grinning, pulls out another bottle, this one even darker and thicker. This one stronger past the first Agbo. You go like Mr. Johnson stares at the bottle like it's about to explode in his hands. Stronger. Are you trying to finish me off? He gasps. The villagers, now laughing uncontrollably, shout, drink Oyibo. If you fit survive this one, no sickness go near you again. Mr. Johnson, eyes wide, can't believe what he's hearing. But with the crowd cheering him on, he knows he has no choice but to continue the battle with Agbo. After a few days of reluctantly drinking the Agbo, Mr. Johnson started feeling better. He wasn't sure if it was the Agbo or his body fighting for survival, but his fever was gone, and the malaria symptoms began to fade. Feeling a little too confident, he muttered to himself, maybe I should bottle this stuff and sell it back home. I could call it organic wellness tonic. Emeka, overhearing him, gave him a sharp side eye. No be you way they ask for NAFDAC number. Agbo no need all those Oyibo rules. Just drink, and you go day alright. The villagers, overhearing the exchange, chuckled, shaking their heads at the Oyibo's sudden change of heart. By now, Mr. Johnson had become a local celebrity in the village. Every time he reached for a drink of water, the villagers would burst into laughter, teasing him, you go ask if this one get NAFDAC number too. Even the village elders had joined in on the fun. Oyibo Man asked if the Sunday come with manual. They joked, sending everyone into fits of laughter. But Mr. Johnson took it all in stride. He had to admit, there was something special about this place. No hospitals, no fancy medications, just the warmth of the people and the strangely powerful Agbo. It wasn't the minerals he came for, but he had found something else entirely, a new perspective. As Mr. Johnson prepared to leave the village, Emeka handed him a small bottle of Agbo, winking playfully. Carry this, go back to your people. Anytime malaria hold you, just drink. No need for all your Oyibo questions. Mr. Johnson, now fully in on the joke, chuckled and tucked the bottle into his bag. He may have come to explore minerals, but he was leaving with something more valuable, a story, and a deep appreciation for the humor, resilience, and simplicity of village life.